Coming from an engineering and MBA background, why you chose marketing?
Engineering basically helped me create a foundation.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the initial years?
One challenge was to ensure that we are getting the right talent.
That one problem that you must be facing with Gen Zs today.
Environment plays a very important role for any and every kind of a business. एक पौधा है, एक पौधे को अगर धूप चाहिए और वो बिना धूप के होगा तो उसको वो नहीं बढ़ पाएगा, right?
What keeps founders going during uncertain situations?
So for a founder,
Hello, hi, I'm Shalu and I'm back again with another episode of Founders Pod. And today we have Mr. Manish in with us. Hello, sir, how are you?
hi, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
So, my question to you is ki, what was that one inspiration behind starting Let's Build Brands Media?
So, when I started LBB, this was back in 2019, and I had just started off my career in the advertising and media industry. I realized that there was a need for a one stop marketing solution. The organization that I was working for was catering to one specific niche within the advertising space. And I realized that for SMEs and MSMEs, there is a need for a one stop marketing solution. And that's where we are today.
Sir, what is the first niche that you carved out for your agency and what was the thought behind choosing that niche?
So my experience was more into marketing and advertising. However, the need of the hour back in 2019 was there was a lot of hype around digital marketing, right? So everybody was talking about digital, and that's where we realized that we need to have these three verticals. Marketing is what I knew, advertising is where I had experience, and digital was the way forward. So that's how we carved out the three niches, the three verticals.
So, coming from an engineering and MBA background, why you chose marketing? Why? Matlab, what is the reason? We all are eager to know that.
Like any other founder or like any other engineer, I would say, engineering basically helped me create a foundation. Engineers are typically very logical in their thought process, in their mind, and they look at things from a very logical bent of mind. So that helped me create a foundation. MBA helped me understand how businesses are built, how situations are to be managed. It helped develop a problem solving attitude and also how to get work done, right? So these two combined together created a foundation for me. So as a kid, I've always been curious. Whenever I was traveling with my family, I would always, memorize the billboards which were there, and throughout a 2 hour journey or a 4 hour journey, I would never miss out on any billboard that was out there on the expressway. So that's where the marketing thing started. And even while watching movies or cricket tournaments, World Cups, I would memorize every jingle that the FMCG giants would come up every season. So we all have been exposed to advertising and marketing in our everyday life. The only thing is how it impacts you. So for me, I was always a curious kid with a bent of eye or a bent of mind towards the advertising and marketing side. And when we studied marketing in MBA, that is when we got to know more about how you can actually make anything interesting or make anything sellable. That's what makes marketing interesting.
Like, I do remember some of the jingles from my, like, that still hits nostalgia. So, for you, like, do you have any jingle in your mind that always hits that nostalgia?
Nostalgia, definitely. I'm not able to recall a jingle, but definitely I remember the Dhara ad where that kid would, run away from home and would be sitting on that railway station saying कि मैं घर छोड़ के जा रहा हूँ. And then his Ramu Kaka would come and say, आज तो मम्मी ने घर पे जलेबी बनाई है, and I mean, so those kind of ads always stay with you.
Yeah. TVC earlier, like, they always created a space in our heart, mind, soul every year. And we do remember such these years. What were the toughest phases during the initial years of starting your journey with LBT?
We started off back in 2019. I started off as a consultant. I just quit my corporate career, and we didn't know that 6 months down the line we were hitting for the pandemic. But God was kind. We were able to sustain. I started off as a consultant, individual consultant, got a couple of projects. Was able to sustain through the pandemic. Soon the pandemic ended. We realized that we needed an in-house team, and it can't work just like a consultant. That's when we introduced with other verticals. The biggest challenge in the initial phases were, I still remember hiring the first resource. Um Being a sales guy, being a well polished guy from a marketing background, from a Premier B school, selling was never a challenge for me. Getting clients was never a challenge for me. The challenge was building a team where you have to sell that vision of the company to the team members, because we didn't have an office space. We were working out of co-working spaces, and that time hiring people. But people were desperate. Right after pandemic, a lot of people had lost their jobs, so they supported us, they trusted us, and that's how we started off with the journey.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the initial years while you were building your company as a bootstrap company, not a funded?
Yeah. So as a bootstrap company, whatever money was going out was actually going from our pocket. So every penny counted, every penny mattered. Before we spend a penny, we needed to ensure that there is two coming back. So we would first ensure that there's revenue coming in, and that's when we hire the. So the challenge is, if I talk about how it started, was I never wanted to work out of home. It does not give that professional thing, right? I mean, today there's a lot of culture around work from home is okay, but I mean back then, 2019-20, work from home had just started as a thing. So the first challenge was that we need a office space, and we would work out of multiple co-working spaces. Um, Being a bootstrap company, there were a lot of challenges around what is the kind of an affordability that we can have. And after a while, we wanted to have our own space. So, but then we would work around that. Okay, what is the threshold? Thankfully, my wife was also building her own startup. So she was also, building her own team. And with all of that into the picture, we were able to reach that threshold of, let's say a decent number of team members to have our own space. So in a span of around 3 years, we were able to get our own entire space instead of a co-working. We've heard statements like from co-working owners that we have a better paying tenant, so you should vacate. Second challenge was, like I said, about hiring people. While one challenge was to ensure that we are getting the right talent. Even if we wanted to hire someone, we didn't have enough budget to hire that person. So I remember there were instances when we would feel that oh, I want this resource somehow. I know this guy or this girl can do it for us, and they're the right fit. But then their salary doesn't fit our way, so we had to let go. Then finally we realized that we need to focus on building people whom uh, we can afford, and that's where we changed the game. We always focused on getting the right kind of people who have the right intent, who are trainable, who are coachable, right? And it does not matter what education they have, what experience they have. We just need the right intent and right mindset, and we say we will write.
So I remember you mentioned the word that you are from a very polished marketing background. So how tough was it to come across this rough terrain?
It was a completely different paradigm for me. Back in my corporate days, I would work with 7-8 figures of marketing budget, with and working with the top-notch companies, top-notch brands, for whom marketing was essential. Marketing was just a budget. Whereas when we started LBB, our audience initially was very different. Were typically business owners, SMBs, for whom uh, they did not have a mindset for marketing, for spending in marketing. And for them, every penny mattered. For us, it became difficult sometimes to actually rational with them about how this marketing spend will give them the desired ROI, and give them the logic that this marketing expense is essential, is needed, and how you should not just focus on ROI. So, it's like from driving a Mercedes, coming to driving a Maruti, and then answering, ये कितना देती है?
How does bootstrapping change the way a founder thinks about money, growth, hiring, and decision?
I think it's a very interesting question, Shalu. The entire thought process when you are bootstrapped versus when you are funded changes. Think of it like this. One is when you get pocket money, and the other is when you don't get anything and you have to manage your own base. Yes. Base, right? So that is a different. But jokes apart, being a bootstrap founder, every penny mattered. And I knew that whatever is being earned needs to be plowed back into the business, right? So be it hiring, be it marketing, be it infrastructure, be it any other thing, right? Being bootstrapped also does not mean that you may be able to plow in uh, from your savings, right? You can't. Not every founder can do that. Like, I was not able to do that, right? So whatever was being earned, all profits were being brought back, right? So that was the case. And however, when you are funded, I'm not saying a funded founder's life is easy. No, it's not that. A big daddy is always sitting on your head, whom you have to answer for every penny. But having said that, scaling is much easier and faster. However, in Bootstrap, things are different. But I feel running a Bootstrap business has been an enriching experience because it has made me frugal. It has made me value every penny. And I think the same quality has been put into our team also in their thought process, because we've always communicated that, so team also understands that as a thinking, as a thought process, being resilient, being frugal, that's what we've become.
Was there ever a moment when you felt like taking fund would have made things easier for you?
Oh yeah. Every time I was like, we also want a big daddy who can fund us. Who doesn't want money? I mean, it's so obvious, because let's accept it. Definitely, money makes things easier. Had we had funding from day one, we would probably have had much better, bigger offices, better infrastructure. I remember when we hired people, so we had this bring your own device policy until now, and we could never afford providing basic infrastructure like systems to our team or other thing. So we've been able to do that over the course of time, step by step. As in how we are earning, we're plowing back money. So definitely things would have been different. We would have scaled much faster as a business. Put up, maybe invest more into marketing, hire more number of people.
So, if a young entrepreneur asks you today whether to bootstrap or raise funds, what would you tell them?
So I think there's no right answer to this, Shalut. To be honest, bootstrapping definitely is a tough journey, but there's a lot of learning that come along with it. And I shared my journey that you become a smart spender, you become frugal, you know how to make your way around. When you are funded, you are able to scale much faster. You learn a lot, and you're able to probably scale fast, exit fast, raise funds, so on and so forth. There's no one answer to it. But what I would probably say is that for startup founder, I think you should do your first startup as a bootstrap one, because that's where the real learning comes. And probably today, if somebody tells me to restart LBB from scratch. What I have achieved in 7 years, I would probably be able to do that in half time or maybe less.
What role did discipline, patience, and delayed gratification play in your growth journey?
Discipline is more like a way of being. Since childhood, we've been very disciplined in the way we've been brought up. And I think you should ask my team. They will corroborate that fact that we have a lot when it comes to discipline. So definitely without discipline nothing can be built. So definitely that has played a very important role. Be it in terms of, showing up every day, be it in terms of delivering things to client on time. It's more like working and delivering even when nobody is watching without cutting corners. The second was about patience. So definitely I've been a very impatient guy earlier, but this entrepreneurial journey has taught me a lot of patience. Patience with people, patience with money, and like you said, delayed gratification. So patience with results. All of that, there's been a lot of learning that has come in this way.